Hello, hello. Welcome to Making Meals with Meka Live. Happy hump day, happy Wednesday. Who y'all humping on today? Who are y'all humping on? Today we are preparing a very traditional soul food dish with a healthier spin to it. We are cooking smothered chicken and gravy. Yes, a homemade gravy. And we are going to put that over rice. And then we're going to have a side of green beans. Now, smothered chicken is typically chicken, any type of chicken. I grew up with smothered chicken being chicken thighs, so we're going to use the chicken thighs. It's the traditional recipe for smothered chicken is chicken, and then you dredge it and you actually deep fry it, and then you cook it in gravy, and it's absolutely delicious. However, growing up, it might not have been the healthiest version of that. So I'm going to take that dish, the traditional smothered chicken, and I'm going to show you how to make a healthier version of the smothered chicken and gravy. So thank you for tuning in to Making Meals with Meka. Let's get it. This dish is very simple. It's very easy. We're actually going to make it in one pan. Everyone loves to make like one pan dishes. We're going to make it in one pan. Well, okay, let me take that back. It's not going to be one pan because we're going to put it over rice. The rice has its own pan, its pot. And then I am going to cook some green beans. So we are having smothered chicken and gravy over rice with green beans. That is absolutely delicious. And you're going to be able to make this dish in under 30 minutes. So let's get started. The start of the show are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So without the skin being on there, you are already eliminating tons of calories. We are going to season these up because we're seasoning this, there's flavor, and we're going to shallow fry these. The traditional recipe for anything smothered is typically, like I said, dipped in a flour and deep fried. We're going to shallow fry these in avocado oil. So it's a healthier oil than vegetable oil. So you're going to use avocado oil. We're going to season these. We're going to shallow fry them with no coating. We're not going to use flour. We don't need flour to smother anything. We are going to use flour in the gravy. This recipe calls for chicken thighs. You're going to need chicken stock or chicken broth. I already have my chicken stock nice and warm here. We're going to use this for two things. We're going to use this for the rice that we're putting this over, and we're also going to use the chicken stock for the gravy. You don't want to use water. Water has no flavor. We want this to be delicious. We're using chicken stock. So we have the chicken, we have the stock, we have the rice, but you could put this over potatoes. You don't have to put it over anything if you don't want to. You can put this over cauliflower mash if you are watching your carbs. So there's so many different varieties of this dish that you can use. And then we're going to have some type of green vegetable, okay? I am doing fresh green beans today. These are my green beans. I'm going to show you how I cut them and how I, season them. You can use broccoli if you want to, spinach, whatever fresh green you want to use. But it is really important when you are eating dinner to have at least one serving of vegetables. All right. We have our protein with the chicken. We have our starch with the rice. And we are doing fresh vegetables today. So let's get started. Let me give you guys a little kitchen hack. I always say when you join me live, I'm going to share some of my kitchen hacks with you. You are live, Making Meals with Meka live. And I like to refer to it as because everything's going to be delicious. Here's a hack for you. I always use a different cutting board when I am cutting my meat, and then one for vegetables. Please don't mix these up. Do not use the same cutting board for your meat for vegetables, especially if you are using a wooden cutting board. Don't do it, okay? I'm telling you now, don't do it. Safety first. Food safety first. So these plastic cutting boards are really great for meat. However, they slide. Here is a kitchen hack. Just take a dish towel and you put it on top and it won't move. I just put y'all into game, okay? It will not move. We're going to season this chicken. Now, normally I put my fingers in it and I'm all in it. However, because we're cooking live, I really don't want, my back to you guys. I want you guys to be fully engaged. So I'm just going to use my tongs. We are going to season the chicken thighs. One of my rule of thumbs is when you are cooking any type of meat, you want it to get room temperature. Now, that doesn't mean it's been sitting out for like hours, right? This has been sitting out for about 15-20 minutes. You want the chicken or the beef or whatever you're cooking to get room temperature. Is going to make your meat juicier and more tender. Just trust me. Never take meat out of the refrigerator and cook it. You want to get room temperature. We're going to season these generously because where season is, there's flavor, and then flavor is delicious. The whole purpose of eating healthy is eating things that you can sustain. That's going to taste delicious, but doesn't add, too many calories. So we're going to season these with salt. You're going to season both sides, okay? We're going to do salt. Now you can season these however you want to. I'm just telling you how I season them. So if I list an ingredient that you don't like, it's okay. Just omit it. You don't got to use it. But if you want the ultimate flavor, you're going to follow this recipe to a T. And you're going to use approximately a half a tablespoon of each. Now, I grew up cooking with my great-grandmother and my mom, and they didn't measure anything. So I'll try to give you the equivalent, but I just go off of sight. You're going to use around 1 tablespoon of salt. And then, of course, salt and pepper, they are BFFs. So whenever you season something with salt, you're going to season something with pepper, unless it specifically doesn't call for pepper. We're going to do salt, pepper, garlic powder, because garlic powder is delicious. And I literally put garlic powder on everything. Everyone has their favorite seasoning that they use. And I put garlic powder on literally everything from meat to eggs, to grits, to salads. It's my favorite seasoning. We have salt, pepper, garlic powder, and we also have onion powder on these chicken thighs, okay? That's just the first side. We're going to rub this all in. Now, this is around 1 pound of chicken thighs. This recipe is going to give you enough to feed around 4 people. 3 people if people are hungry, okay? But 1 chicken thigh, depending on your hungriness, will actually be enough because we're going to have the spinach and we're going to have the rice. But, to each its own. This is going to feed around a family of 4, okay? So I have just seasoned one side of the chicken, and we're just going to season the other side of the chicken thighs. These are just traditional soul food seasonings. Some people call it Southern food. Some people call it comfort food. I feel like they're all a little bit different. But this is a soul food recipe. I grew up on smothered chicken and rice. Rice and gravy. Who hasn't had rice and gravy? If you have never had rice and gravy, let this be your sign to have rice and gravy. But I'm not talking about like the sawmill thick white gravy. I am talking about a luscious seasoned dark gravy, okay? And it goes perfectly with rice. If you're not a rice person, you can put this gravy over potatoes. This recipe goes great with potatoes. Like I said, if you want to watch your carbs and you want to do a cauliflower mash, you can also do a cauliflower mash. Now the texture is going to be a little bit different, so I want you guys to know that. But thank you guys for tuning in with Making Meals with Meka Live. And we are cooking a traditional soul food dish, which is smothered chicken and gravy. And we are going to accompany that with some rice and some green beans. Now, I have generously seasoned my chicken on both sides. So when I say generously, I mean like this. There are ways to know whether or not your food is seasoned. One, you have to see it, and then two, you can really smell the seasoning. I always say you can smell the seasoning. Hello, I have someone from Istanbul. Hi, how are you? Okay, so what time is it there? Currently, it is 7 p.m. What time is it? It's in Istanbul. I love when I have international viewers. It just makes me so happy just to see the difference in culture. All right, guys. So right now I have seasoned these chicken thighs, and I'm just going to let this season marinate for a second. And we're going to get started on our rice because the rice is going to take some time to cook. My favorite rice is basmati rice. Oh, it's like 3 p.m. Oh, hi, Steve. Hi. Hi, boo. Welcome to my live. Welcome to Making Meals with Meka. I have just seasoned the chicken. I have this off to the side. Okay, guys. And my hands are still clean because I haven't touched the chicken. And we're going to get started on the rice. So for the rice, everyone, I am using basmati rice. I'm looking for my little... Okay, here we go. I am using basmati rice because it's my favorite rice. It's a long grain rice. You can use whatever type of rice you want to. You can use a short grain rice. You can use jasmine rice. You can use brown rice. You don't even have to use rice. You can use mashed potatoes. But for this recipe, we are using rice. And I feel like people... Sorry, guys. I feel like rice is one of those dishes that people overcomplicate it. Just follow the directions that's on the package. Sometimes you do have to rinse rice. If you have to rinse the rice, the package will tell you. But I feel like people complicate cooking rice. It's really, really simple. The ratio is typically 2-1. Now with this basmati rice, it's a little different, but we're not even going to go into there. Just cook the rice like the the package tells you to cook the rice. But as a rule of thumb, the ratio is 2-1. So you're gonna have 2 parts liquid to 1 part rice. Really simple. Like seriously. And you don't really have to do anything else. You're not supposed to stir rice. You're not supposed to mess with it. You're supposed to let it do its thing. So this is a perfect ingredient that we're gonna cook while we are cooking everything else. So for this rice, I have 1 cup of basmati rice, which is a long grain rice. And then guess what? I'm just going to add 2 cups of stock. You can add water if you want to. You know, some people are like, oh, well, the stock might raise my blood pressure. Well, if it's going to raise your blood pressure, don't use it. Right? Totally use water if you want to. I like my food to be very, very seasoned. So I'm going to go ahead and use this chicken stock because it's going to be delicious. All right. So I'm going to pour the 2 cups in here. If you just have to stir it around, you can. It really doesn't matter. I am going to set this on high, and then once it starts to boil, I'm just going to reduce the heat and cover it and let it do its thing, and I'm not going to bother it. Okay, so our rice is on and it's already boiling, which is perfect. And let me give you a little secret. When you are adding liquid, this is another kitchen hack. Okay, when you are adding any type of liquid, and this is going to be important for when we make our gravy, you want your liquid to be warm. All right. So with rice, with gravies, you don't want to add cold liquid to anything that's already been cooking because it's going to bring the temperature all the way down. And you might not think that's a big deal. However, it is, because when you bring the temperature down, you're going to change the texture. So if you're cooking something and it's too mushy or it's not as crisp as it's supposed to be, the texture is off, it's probably because you added cold liquid when you're supposed to add warm liquid. So for the gravy, this liquid is going to stay warm. I don't want to bring the temperature down. The same with my rice. I had added the rice to warm stock and it's already boiling, and we're going to reduce that. And it also makes the cooking a little bit faster because you're putting something in hot, in a hot temperature opposed to a cold temperature. All right. Now this is boiling, so I'm going to put this on simmer. I'm going to put the top on it, and I'm just going to forget about it. I'm not going to mess with it. Now it's time to cook these chicken thighs, okay? When you're cooking, there's very few things that you want to add to like a cold pan. So we are going to preheat our pan. And I have a pretty deep pan, right? Because we're going to put gravy in here. We're going to cook the chicken. We're going to put the gravy in here. We want this to have enough room. So try to have a pan that has some depth to it. All right. For those of you that are just tuning in, thank you for hanging out with me. This is Making Meals with Meka Live, or I like to call it because everything we make is going to be delicious. So right now I have my pan heating up. And when I say shallow fry, I'm literally going to shallow fry these. So what that means is I'm only going to put enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. I don't want my chicken floating. We are not deep frying. We are very health conscious. We don't want to eat a lot of deep fried foods because when you deep fry something, it absorbs more oil. More oil is more fat, it's more calories, and it's not good for our arteries. So we're going to use a healthier oil, which is avocado oil. And yes, avocado oil is a little more expensive. I'm not going to come on here and say, hey, avocado oil, it's cheap. It isn't cheap. It isn't cheap, but it's not really that much expensive than like anything else. Oh, thank you. Someone said I was beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now you're making me blush. You're so wonderful. I appreciate you. So we are going to, and I know my pan is hot enough when I can't touch it for very long. This pan is hot. And I am going to just coat the bottom of the pan. So for those of you that need, measurements, I am adding around 2 tablespoons of oil to this pan. That's it. We're not doing cups or anything. We're going to shallow fry these chicken thighs and they're going to be delicious. But we're just going to make sure they're nice and crispy on both sides. So I want my oil to heat up. And the good thing about avocado oil is it has a really, really high burn temperature. What that means is you could cook it at a high temperature and it won't smoke. A lot of times when we're frying things, it smokes, right? And you're like, oh my God, like what's going on here? That means that your oil has gotten too hot and it's actually burning. A way around that is use a high temperature oil for avocado oil. So avocado oil is absolutely wonderful. It's better for you than vegetable oil and olive oil. And I love olive oil, so don't get me wrong, I still have olive oil. But avocado oil is a little more refined and it has a higher burn temperature. So it's a win-win. And it's ready. You see how loose that is? This is ready. So my burner goes up to a number 10, right? 0 to 10. My burner right now is around an 8, right? Because we want to get a hard sear on this chicken to lock the juices in. And you guys know there's a particular sound that your chicken should make when you put it in the pan and it's frying. So let's see. Can y'all hear that? That's what we want to hear. We definitely want to hear that. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit because the temperature of the pan is going to come down when I add more chicken, and I don't want the temperature to come down. Now I am using boneless, skinless chicken thighs because chicken thighs are juicier and they have more flavor. If you want to alter this, if you're not a chicken thigh person and you want to use chicken breast, you can use chicken breast. It's not going to be as juicy and succulent. It's going to be a little drier because that's just natural for chicken breast. But it will have less calories. It will have less fat if you use chicken breast. But I am using boneless, skinless chicken thighs because to me, chicken thighs just have way more seasoning. They are just so superior. And we're going to allow these to cook for approximately around 4 minutes on this side. And we're not going to touch it. If you're playing with your chicken and you're lifting it up, you're putting it down, you're trying to see, you're going to alter how long it takes to cook. So we're just going to let this chicken do its thing. And you guys, it already smells amazing in here. It smells amazing. I am getting all the aroma from the chicken. For those of you that are just tuning in, you are making Meals with Meka live, and we are cooking smothered chicken in gravy. That's kind of redundant because smothered means in gravy, but we're doing smothered chicken in gravy over rice with a side of green beans. All right, so now that this has reached its high temperature, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Okay, and then while this is cooking, it's kind of multitask. Let's get started on what we're going to need for our gravy. Here is my other cutting board. This is my vegetable cutting board. All right, and then we have one onion. This is a medium onion. This is a just a yellow onion, and I'm not going to dice this. I'm going to cut these in really thin slits. So a really quick way to cut an onion. You cut the ends off, and then you can go in, and it makes peeling it so much easier. Well, it's supposed to anyway. And if you're having a hard time, just peel the first layer of skin. We don't got time to be playing around trying to peel that onion. So if it's not coming out like it's supposed to, then I just go ahead and I just peel that first layer because he has time for it. And then we're just going to sit here and we're just going to little thin slices of onion. We want this. See how thin that is? I don't want to dice it. Dicing it is going to give it a different texture. I feel like when we're doing gravies, I really want to just have the onions nice and thin. Okay? So the onions are sliced. Oh, I got to get garlic. One second. Okay, I'm back. All right, you probably missed me. I know I was gone for a second. All right, so that's done. Now with garlic is my favorite. Right, so I'm going to tell you how much I use. If you want to use a little bit less, that's totally fine. But garlic is my favorite, absolute favorite seasoning of all time. So I'm going to use around 6 cloves of garlic. It's so delicious. Okay? Yes, I'm using 6 cloves of garlic for this. You don't have to use 6. If you're not a garlic person, hell, you don't even have to use garlic, okay? Now, if you don't use garlic and your recipe isn't that delicious, I don't want you, to send me messages saying that the recipe didn't have flavor because you left out a key ingredient. But you don't have to use as much as I use. You can use 3, you can use 2. I am using 6 cloves of garlic and 1 small onion. That is my ratio, and it's going to be perfect. And then just like I cut the onions, I'm really not going to dice the garlic, but I want to go in and more or less just slice. I want to slice it. Because, I like to taste the pieces of garlic. If you don't want slices, then by all means, you can dice it. Another thing here, I'm not a big fan of the garlic that comes in a jar. I know it's supposed to be easier, but, that garlic really isn't the best. And to me, it's too concentrated. So use fresh garlic. All right. I feel like these are going to be beautiful. Golden brown and beautiful on the other side. These have been cooking for about 4 minutes. Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. You do not, look at that. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. You do not need any type of flour when cooking this chicken. Like, this chicken is going to be beautiful, deliciously seasoned, and perfectly tender without using any flour for the coating. All right, so I'm gonna turn the temperature up just a little bit because I want these to get nice and crispy. All right, so what is everybody doing? What is everybody doing today? Let's have a chat. Steve says he likes garlic. Steve, I am with you. I know that Steve likes garlic, guys. I am with you. Garlic is delicious. I really do feel like there's very few dishes that really won't be better with garlic. You know what I mean? Like, garlic is amazing. You really can't go wrong with garlic. I have over seasoned some things with garlic. I have gone a little bit garlic crazy, and that's just because I'm a lover of garlic. So there are some times where I do have to tell myself, okay, Meka, calm down. You're putting too much garlic in that, because everything shouldn't taste like garlic, but garlic is delicious. Happy hump day. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in my kitchen. Where is everybody from? So we have someone from Istanbul. Where are you at right now, Steve? Where are you joining us from? And another thing is, I really love it when people make my recipes. Y'all see that? What the? I guess I need some new tongs. I really appreciate when people make my recipes and tell me, oh, you know, Meka, I made your recipe, but I added this, or, you know, I took out this and I substituted that, and then I love it. Because the whole purpose of cooking is taking something and making it your own. So if you could take one of my recipes and, you know, add a little zhuzh to it and make it a little bit better, I'm okay with that. And then maybe you give me, you know, the tip, and then I can start cooking it like that. Steve is eating some shitty risotto. Shitty risotto. That is terrible. Like, is it mushy or... So I feel like you're channeling the energy for me to come on here and cook risotto. And by the way, I have a delicious spinach and sausage risotto. It is to die for. So I guess I'll be cooking risotto soon, because we can't have shitty risotto. That just sucks, guys. All right, these are just about done. So I'm going to take these off in a second. My rice is smelling good. Okay. Actually, it's good, but came with the beef dinosaur. That is hilarious. Beef dinosaur. Did it come with? Is it risotto with what is that called, guys? What is that big piece of meat? Is it risotto with oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. You guys know what I'm talking about. With short rib? Oh, is it a short rib risotto? I bet it's short rib. I bet it's short rib. And you know what? Short rib has to be braised, and it has to cook for a specific amount of time. Like, one time I was in Vegas, and my boyfriend ordered some short rib at this restaurant, and it was the biggest hump of untenderized meat I've ever seen in my life, and it was not delicious. Okay, these are done. Woo-hoo! So I am going to remove the smaller ones first, and I'm going to put these on a plate to just rest. Okay? I'm going to put these on a plate to rest. Okay. You guys are smelling delicious in here. What is up with that? All right. You guys say, Mika, get some new tongs. This is ridiculous. Like, why are my tongs falling apart? You guys, my rice is done. So I'm going to take the chicken out. And you see this little piece right here? I'm going to sample that. That goes to the side. I'm going to turn this down, but look at my rice. I didn't do nothing. I just let it sit there. You see this? It's done. Take this off. Now, we have a little reserved oil, right? Guess what we're going to do with that oil? We are about to saute these onions. Yes, we are not draining anything. We are using all of that. That is called flavor. Those little bits and pieces of chicken in there. Don't ever drain your pan. And this is perfect. Look at that. So now, when I fried the chicken, my temperature was on about an 8. Now I am sauteing my onions and I am going around with a spoon and I'm getting those bits and pieces. Now my temperature is around a 4. Okay, we don't want to fry these onions. We don't want these onions to be crispy. We don't want them to burn. So I'm going to reduce the temperature and I'm just cleaning up around me because it's been splashing. It already smells amazing, guys. All right, so while my onions are doing their things, I'm going to sample this chicken. Look at that. Look how juicy that is. A chicken breast would never be this juicy. You already know. When food is good, I get so excited. When food is good. This tastes perfect, guys. So this is the chicken. And we're letting it rest. But look at that. That's not grease. That is juice. This is the juiciest chicken ever. Boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I season them with salt, black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. And I shallow fried them in a pan with a little bit, about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. And they are perfect and they are resting. I am working on my onion gravy. So I have my onions. This is 1 whole onion that I've chopped. Well, I've sliced. And it's cooking in the pan. And now I'm going to add my 6 cloves of garlic because we all agreed that garlic is delicious. Okay? You don't want to add your garlic when you add your onions because they cook at different times. Garlic cooks really, really quickly. And there's nothing delicious about burnt garlic. I don't do burnt garlic. So we're sauteing our onions and our garlic. And it's smelling amazing. We have people that's tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in to Making Meals with Meka. Or I appreciate it. We have someone from Istanbul here. We have Steve. He's somewhere eating shitty risotto. I'm sorry. And I'm taking a little water break. Cheers. What's everybody sipping on? Steve, what are you sipping while you're eating that shitty risotto? At least you have a good cocktail, I hope. If you're eating shitty risotto and you don't have a cocktail, I'm going to need you to leave that restaurant immediately, bro. That's not a good restaurant. We can't have bad drinks and food. Look at this, guys. This is the sauteed onions and garlic. All right, everybody get your notebooks out. It's time to make the gravy. Earlier I said that I think people make a big deal out of cooking rice. I feel like people do the same thing when it's time to make gravy. You guys, gravy is not hard to make. It is all about the ratios, all right? A good gravy has the perfect ratio of fat, which is like your butter or your oil, to flour, which is your thickener, and then your liquid. I'm using chicken stock. Please don't use water, okay? If you have been using water for your gravy, this is your sign to never use water. So let's make this gravy. You guys are going to see a beautiful gravy unfold before your eyes. I have my onions and my garlic. I am going to add to this 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, you can use whatever type of oil or whatever type of fat that you want. I am using butter. It's okay to use butter. You want to know why it's okay to use butter? Because we're using it sparingly. And I am going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. 2 and 2. 2 and 2. You want it to be even. And as the butter melts, you're going to stir your flour. And I have the temperature at about 6. All right. This is like a medium temperature. Let me tell you, when you know you have the perfect ratio of butter to flour, you won't have any lumps, right? It's like it melts together. You guys see this? It's like a paste. This is the texture that you want when you're making gravy. You want a paste. And the paste only comes when you have an equal amount of fat to an equal amount of flour. And here is the kitchen tip, the kitchen hack. You have to cook your flour. I don't think people realize that. So a lot of times, you know, people send me a message and they'll say, oh my gosh, my gravy didn't taste right. My gravy kind of tasted raw. My gravy tasted too much like flour. That's because you didn't cook your flour. You have to cook your flour in gravy, okay? So I'm going to say you're going to cook this for about a good 3 or 4 minutes, and you can actually smell it. Your senses play a really big role when you're cooking. You know your flour is done when it starts to smell a little bit nutty. That's the only comparison that I can give you. When you start smelling something kind of toasted, right? It's like, oh, my flour is done. So you're going to have the aroma from the onions, the aroma from the garlic, and then it's going to get a little bit deeper with the toast. Hi, welcome to my live, Miss Rose. This is Making Meals with Meka. Right now, you just caught me making some gravy, but the whole dish is smothered chicken thighs. We are going straight up old school soul food right here. We're doing smothered chicken thighs with a homemade gravy. We're serving it over rice, and we're going to have a side of green beans. Now, I smothered my chicken a little bit differently. These are the boneless, skinless chicken thighs that have been seasoned, and we have shallow fried these in an avocado oil. We have not coated them with any type of flour or anything like that. The only flour that we are using is the 2 tablespoons of flour that I have put in this pot for our gravy. And it is smelling delicious, okay? Now, if it's like, okay, well, Meka, I got a cold. I can't smell. How do I know when my flour is done? Then you go to your next senses, your eyes, okay? You would know your flour is done when it is brown, right? I added white flour. If you use wheat flour, you'll know it's done when it's browner, right? We got to use our senses. So the flour is brown. I see it. It smells very nutty, right? Now I'm not going to taste it. And now it's time to add our liquid. Remember I said everything, when you're making the perfect gravy, everything is about the ratio. The ratio for a perfect gravy, 2, 2, 2. Okay? For this amount of gravy, you want 2 tablespoons of butter or any type of fat. So you can use bacon grease, because I have made some delicious gravy with bacon grease. You can use oil if you like. Say some people don't want butter. I'm using 2 tablespoons of butter. I use 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 and 2. And then when your fat and your flour are equal, you're going to get this paste. This is exactly what you want when you're making gravy, okay? And then finally, I'm going to use 2 cups of a warm liquid. My go-to, because I'm making smothered chicken, is chicken stock. stock or bouillon. If you're doing anything like smothered, you're doing Salisbury steak or anything like that, you're going to use a beef stock or a beef broth. I mean, I don't really know when you will ever use water in the gravy. I mean, you just don't use water in the gravy. But if you want to use water, you don't want, the flavor, you can use 2 cups of water too. So this is nice and brown. And then this is where the magic happens, okay? I'm going to slowly add, let me turn this off. The key to a gravy is a good whisk. Now my temperature is like on a 5. I have my whisk and I'm going to slowly add my liquid, right? I'm going to slowly add it. Just going to go ahead and slowly add it. A little bit at a time. And then you just continue to add based off of the thickness of your gravy. Slowly add it. And right now my temperature is like I said, at a 5. Because you don't want this to cook too much. I am going to add just a little bit more water, guys. But it's okay. I know I said don't add water. It's okay though. Because the majority of this is chicken stock. I just didn't pour enough chicken stock in here. Alright, so we're going to, now as it gets, okay, there we go. We're going to keep stirring. Now, it's important to add warm liquid to this gravy. Warm, okay? Not cold. If you add cold, it's going to mess your gravy up. Your gravy is not going to be delicious. Warm gravy. I didn't even need that water, guys. Y'all made me doubt myself. I had everything rationed out. Do y'all see this? This is gravy right here. I'm going to add a little bit more water. I'm going to turn it up. Look at that. What? That's gravy. No, I didn't pour too much, boo. Look, you see that? You see that? No, I didn't pour too much, but hey, I know you know how to cook because you noticed that. You noticed that I didn't pour too much, but good looking. Now I am making my gravy. Now, it's time to season this gravy. Okay? Now listen. Just because we added chicken stock does not mean that this gravy is 100% seasoned. No, we got to season this. I'm already going to add a little pepper. Right? I already have onions, so I don't need any onion powder. I don't need any garlic powder because I use fresh garlic. I am going to add some pepper. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. That's it. And now I can quit using my whisk because look at that. Look at this, you guys. No lumps. Y'all see that? No lumps. No lumps. This is how you make gravy. Okay. All right, Miss Rose. Look at that. No lumps in this gravy. Now it's time to sample it. You always have to sample your food. You never want for your guest or someone you're cooking for to taste your food in its entirety before you taste it. This is my gravy. It's good. It needs a little bit. It needs a little bit more something. It needs a little more salt. Put a little bit more salt in there. You guys, I'm using kosher salt. And then I'm also going to put, here we go. Here's another kitchen hack. I'm going to put some fresh thyme in here. I'm just going to take the thyme leaves, just a couple. Not too many. If you guys did not know, thyme and chicken go together like peanut butter and jelly. That is not that is not flaky salt. So you guys, this guy Steve that's on the that's on the live, that's my boo, guys. And let me tell y'all, while this is marinating, we have flaky salt. Basically, he makes this salt by, you take some salt and you put water on the salt and you just let it dries out. right? It dries out and it becomes this flaky salt, and it's really good for topping food. Like, if you got to finish something off, you use the flaky salt. Well, when I'm cooking, I want my regular salt in here, not my flaky salt. So he put the flaky salt where my regular salt's supposed to be. So guess what I did? I took his flaky salt out and I put my regular salt. So your flaky salt is over there. Okay, I did throw it out, but it's not right here. I wasn't using flaky salt today. So our gravy is ready. So guess what we're gonna do? This is the sexy part. We're gonna take these juicy chicken thighs and we're going to put them in the gravy. This is where the smothering comes from. Oh my gosh, you guys, it smells amazing in here. It smells amazing. And you see this plate of juice? This is not grease. This is juice, which is flavor. It's going right in my gravy. Don't play with me. Do not play with me. Okay? All that's going in there. Oh, it is looking delicious already. And now this is going to simmer for about 10 minutes. So we're going to cover it. All right, I'm going to move this to a different part of the stove because it's time to make our green beans. We are almost done. So we have our chicken almost done. Our rice is complete. You guys, here's our rice. This is basmati rice that I cooked in some chicken stock. And all we're going to do is go in and fluff the rice. You don't stir it. You don't mess with it. You just go in and you gently fluff the rice. Okay? Now, I'm not going to add anything to the rice. I'm not going to add any butter or any additional seasonings because I did season this with chicken stock. And I don't want the whole entire dish to get too salty. But look at that. And what I don't eat tonight, I'm going to eat with some scrambled eggs tomorrow. You think I'm not? Okay. Green bean time. Cutting board. You guys that are just tuning in, thank you for hanging out with me. This is Making Meals with Meka live. And we are cooking a traditional soul food dish. We are doing smothered chicken thighs with gravy. And we're cooking it. We're going to put it over some rice and we're making some fresh green beans. Now, because I had time today, I'm using fresh green beans. When I don't have a lot of time, my second go-to is frozen. If you don't have fresh, the next best is frozen. Green beans do not take a long time to cook. I guess it just depends on your preference. When I cook green beans, I like it to have a snap. I do not like soggy green beans. It's just not my favorites. This is what I do. I have already rinsed these green beans. And if anyone grew up with parents like mine, picking these beans were a pain in the ass. Do you hear me? My mom didn't give me a cutting board. I couldn't do it quickly. We literally had to take the bean and pick off both sides. Right? Literally. And my mom had 5 kids, and it was my mom and my stepdad. So for 7 people, imagine picking green beans like that. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. In today's day and age, we're going to take the green beans, we're going to line them up, and I chop one end, and I chop the next end. And you don't even have to chop the ends. I'm only chopping the ends because that's what I was brought up doing. And I think it just makes it cleaner, but I mean, the ends are totally edible, right? But this is something that I did, and I never questioned my mom as to why she chopped the ends off. So now I just chop the ends off. But I have gone to plenty of restaurants where they had green beans and the ends weren't chopped off. So maybe it's just more of a presentation thing to make them look, all uniform. But I'm gonna go ahead and chop these the ends off because that's just how I was raised. Okay, that's one of those. I'm not going to question it because my mom did it, which is not really good advice. But sometimes when it comes to cooking, you just have to do it like, the person who taught you. That's what makes recipes and things so cool. So those for you that are tuning in, to Making Meals with Meka Live, we are making some smothered chicken. The chicken is just right now in the gravy, getting tender and getting familiar with the flavors of the gravy. I have it simmering on about around a 3. Okay, so my stove goes up to a 10 right now. My gravy is on a 3. My chicken and the gravy is on a 3. And I am just cutting up these beautiful green beans because we are about to cook them and they're going to be delicious. All right. Now, here is another little kitchen hack. And if you are like a cook, you guys are already going to know this. So it might not be a kitchen hack or, a cooking hack for someone who is well versed in cooking. But for those of you who are just beginning or starting out and you want to know how to add depths of flavor to certain foods, I'm going to give you this secret, okay? This is going to add so much flavor to your green beans. Now, I know you're like, now typically, before I give you that secret, sometimes I cook my green beans with onion. I cook them with potato. But because I have onion in the I have onion already in the gravy. I didn't want to put onion in the green beans. So I'm going to start my pan. Now green beans are going to take maybe like 5 minutes to cook. My pan is going to get hot. Okay? While that's happening, y'all see that? That's me checking on this chicken, which is looking delicious. I wish I can show y'all, but the camera. Ooh. But y'all see that steam? That's that chicken. It's marinating and is getting even tenderer in that gravy. All right, chicken's marinating. All right, let's get started with the green beans, and then we're gonna be done. We're gonna plate everything up. All right, this is hot. Kitchen hack, food hack. I'm gonna saute these green beans. This right here is liquid gold. Okay. No, you are exactly right. My gravy is not going to be thick. It's going to be nice and ooey gooey and delicious. This is liquid gold, aka bacon fat, bacon grease. When I cook bacon, I just have a little bitty container next to the stove, and I just pour it in here. This is going to add so much flavor. I'm only going to use a little bit. I'm going to use like a half a teaspoon. That half a teaspoon of bacon grease or bacon drippings, whatever you want to call it to make yourself feel better, that's what I'm using. Okay? It is going to add so much flavor to these green beans. You're not going to believe it. Okay? Now, if you don't eat pork, no big deal. You're not going to use bacon grease, okay? If you don't eat pork, then I'm pretty sure turkey sauces don't have any. Turkey bacon don't have any grease, so you can't use turkey bacon drippings. Sorry. You can just use butter or you can use oil. I suggest using oil for the green beans. All right, this is the final step to our smothered chicken and rice. But here we go. The green beans are going to be done so quickly. And we're gonna season these just really, really simply because we have the gravy that has a lot of flavor, and we have the rice that's already seasoned. So we want, a vegetable that's going to give us a little break from, the richness of the gravy. And this isn't going to be heavy, right? The gravy isn't heavy. The chicken isn't heavy because it isn't deep fried, but we still want a little break. So I'm going to add my green beans. I'm washing this out, guys. Note to self, get some more tongs. And then for these, we just want to make sure these are tossed. I want to make sure that all the green beans are coated with that bacon grease. Right? And I'm just going to cook these until they get ready to just snap. I don't like my green beans soggy. It's just a preference of mine. So we're just going to cook these really, really, really quickly. All right. They're going to be done, but they're going to be nice and crispy. I have my stove on a 7 right about now. So these are on medium heat and they're cooking in bacon grease. Y'all want to see what this chicken talking about? Let's see. Let's peek in on it. Look at that. Can y'all see that? How does that look, Rose? Does it look smothered? Does it look good? It's not lumpy. I'm going to go ahead and cover it up again until it's time to take it off. We are about 5 minutes out to plating this up. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and making meals with Meka on this hump day. I will be here every single Wednesday unless I am vacationing somewhere, okay? Every single Wednesday, come hang out with me, 7 p.m. Central Time. I cook healthy, delicious food. I cook, soul food, comfort food. I like to try different exotic dishes. So it's not just one type of food. I love everything delicious. My goal when I'm cooking is to take a delicious recipe and make it as healthy as possible. So that means we're not going to be deep frying. We're going to use very little oil. We're going to use very little coatings, right? We're going to use beautiful seasonings, not just necessarily salt. I feel like sometimes when you say seasonings, people are like, I got high blood pressure. I don't want all that sodium. I didn't say salt. I said seasonings. All right? But we're going to take delicious dishes and make them healthier. So I have my green beans. And I am going to season them. We're almost done here with some salt. Okay? And this is some sea salt, guys. And I ran out of my pepper, so I got to use this type of pepper. Salt and pepper. Normally I'll do salt, pepper, onion powder, a little bit of garlic. I'm not going to do all that because everything else is so highly seasoned. I just want these to be very simple seasoned. I want to taste the green bean. And I am sauteing these using bacon. Let me turn this blur on for 1 second. Y'all gotta hear that for 1 second. I'm so sorry, guys. If I don't turn that on, it's smoking in here. That's that bacon grease. That's that bacon grease. It's smoking, so I gotta turn it down a little bit. All right. And then what I'm going to do to make it just a little bit more luscious, because we really haven't used a lot. I'm just going to use a little bit of butter, like a half. This is like a half a teaspoon of butter. And that's just to bring everything together, to make it rich and delicious. Ooh wee. Oh yeah. These are looking delicious. Now I'm just going to go in and try one. Oh my goodness. Sometimes the most delicious food is so simple. These are just sauteed green beans with salt and pepper, and they're delicious. All right, let's plate this meal up, guys. Let's plate this meal up. You eat with your eyes first. So I'm not telling you that you guys have to plate every single dish and it has to look fancy schmancy. No, I'm not saying that. But if you do want to try your hand at plating, making things look nice and pretty, I suggest you try. And the more you try, the better you get. I'm still learning how to plate, to be honest with you. So, we have our rice. This is how we're going to plate this. Rice is nice, airy, delicious. I'm just going to take my scooper, right? So this is how you can portion your food out too while you're plating. Now I'm not going to get a full cup. I'm going to get maybe like 3/3 of a cup of rice. Now, if you want a full cup, go and get you a full cup. I'm just going to eat three-quarters of a cup. I'm going to take my spoon. I'm just going to push down. So, you know, it can all be jam-packed in there. Thank you guys for tuning in to Making Meals with Meka Live. For those of you that are just tuning in, we are right at the end. We are plating everything up. You guys came at a great time. Taste my rice. That's good. Green beans are done. I'm going to remove that. So I have my rice. I packed it in. Just going to put it on the plate. And voila. Now, because I'm going to set the chicken directly on top, I'm just going to push it down just a little bit. Right? Push it down. It's okay that it's not in the dome anymore. I don't want the dome. So we have our rice. Oh my God. Oh my God. These are the beautiful chicken thighs. Okay. These have been pan-seared with no coating, just delicious flavoring, seasoning, and then sauteed in a homemade gravy. I'm going to take a nice thigh. Look at that. Put it directly on top of my rice. Let me get that little piece that fell off. Don't play with me. And then I'm going to get a ladle and I'm going to spoon that gravy right on top. This is an onion garlic gravy. Look at this. Look at this, you guys. Look at that. Come on now. That's the face. That's the face that you give. You like, come on now. Don't even play with me. You know that's about to be fire. And then right here on the side, we're going to take our fresh green beans. I should add mushrooms. You can add mushrooms. I'm not a mushroom person, but mushrooms will be a great additive to this. We're going to take our green beans and we are going to put them on the side like that. And I'm going to load the green beans up because green beans are delicious. And you guys, this is it. This is smothered chicken over rice with green beans. Now let me show y'all how tender this chicken is. You already saw it was falling apart. But look at this. Look at this. Look at it. I'm just going to go in and just break the chicken. You can just break the chicken off. You go ahead, dip it in that gravy. First bite for y'all. Let me try it. It's instantly delicious. This is so delicious. You get the gravy, the rice, the chicken, and it's not heavy. You know, when you eat something smothered, typically you feel so full and heavy afterwards. Not here. And look at this green bean. Listen to this. Y'all hear that? I grew up with this dish. This is a healthier version of this dish. Let me know if you want the recipe. I mean, I just did it, but if you don't want to watch the live all over again, let me know if you watch the rest. If you want the recipe, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this Wednesday, on this hump day, Making Meals with Meka Live. I will be back here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. with another delicious dish. If you want to cook along with me, let me know. I'll be posting ingredients and then we can have a cook along. I hope everyone has a good night. It is time for me to eat. Making Meals with Meka. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye-bye.